classrooms where a certain person, because of their physical strength and maybe their mean spirit, intimidate other students that are smaller, maybe weaker, some kind of problem, and just intimidate them, make them afraid. Okay?
In Thai we say rangke.
Rangke?
Yeah, rangke.
Bully.
Yeah.
Well then,
We have many bully boy in Thailand at school.
รังแกกับอันธพาลเหมือนกัน
มันก็นิสัยเหมือนกัน
oh yeah, it's a common problem in schools. The teachers have to be on guard for it.
Yeah.
And watch out, and if they see it happening, to put a stop to it. Okay. Any other questions or words? No? Okay. Or anybody?
Totally clear.
Hopefully clear.
Yeah, very clear.
60%
Yeah.
clear.
99%.
40% have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, well, we'll take a look at a few words in the paper today. Yesterday's paper, but today's class. What is a SPAC? Trade SPAC will not affect our CEP ASEAN discussions. What is a SPAC?
I remember yesterday you explained cut down. Cut down. Spec.
SPAC?
Yeah, cut down.
Like
Cut down.
cut down?
Yeah.
Cut down.
Yes. Reduce.
Reduce. SPAC. I forget what word I was using to do that. But SPAC is, they're having a SPAC. The couple is having a SPAC. An argument about something. They don't like the color of the paint on the wall, so they argue about it. It should be blue. No, it should be red. What's the problem? Oh, they're having a spat about the color of the wall, or argument about this, or an argument about that. A spat.
Oh, spat.
A spat.
Spat.
Argument. You know, not a major big deal, but an argument about some minor thing. They don't like the way that somebody's cooking the food, or arguing about there's too much sauce or this or that, or, you know, some minor spat.
Spat.
Argument.
Argument.
Here's this incident with the elephants at the waterfall. I'm sure you've read about that.
Yeah.
Jumbo pear dodges waterfall death trap.
Yes.
Jumbo pear dodges waterfall death trap. What is dodges? Dodges. Very, very common word, and one of the most popular baseball teams in America is known as the Dodgers. Dodges. Jumbo pear dodges waterfall trap. To dodge. To dodge is to avoid something coming at you, for example. You can step out of the way. Or, I just managed to dodge that motorcycle. I just managed to dodge the motorcycle. It almost hit me. And there's a sporting game in America called dodgeball, where the balls are thrown and you dodge the ball. Avoid being hit. Avoid being hit or dodge or miss an accident or something like that. Oh, I was just able to dodge around that thing, right by me.
The name of the track car of U.S. not the name of the track car.
The what?
The name of the car brand of car, the track of car.
Well, there is a Dodge car. It doesn't have to do, it's the name of the inventor, but it doesn't have to do with Dodge. The name of the baseball team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers. It comes, the team is playing in Los Angeles right now. But for many years, they played in Brooklyn. They were known as the Brooklyn Dodgers in New York. In New York. And so, they were known as the Dodgers because in those days, in the early and mid-1900s, when they were in Brooklyn, there was a trolley system. Trolley system. What are trolleys? Trolley system. You have buses, a bus system, where you come out to the street and wait for the bus, doors open, get in, just like here in Bangkok. But for years and years and years, before buses were everywhere, there were trolleys. The trolley ran on a track, and the trolley would come up, the doors would open, you'd get in, take a seat, and off you go. On the trolley. I'm taking a trolley downtown. No big deal. But in Brooklyn, trolleys were everywhere. And so people would cross the streets and have to, whoops, here comes a trolley, whoop, 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 whoop. And the team, they decided a good name for people in Brooklyn would be the Trolley Dodgers. Eventually they dropped the word trolley and just became the Brooklyn Dodgers. They are now the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they are playing in the postseason right now in America. But to dodge is to avoid. Simply to avoid something coming at me. Whoa, whoa. Somebody threw a rock, but I was able to dodge it. Dodge. And a jumbo is something that is very big. A jumbo jet. A plane, maybe 300 passengers. Not a little plane with 8 passengers, no. A jumbo jet. Jumbo. Big, 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 big. Jumbo the elephant.
In Thailand, we have jumbo contest.
Or jumbo contest.
It's a beauty contest.
Beauty contest?
Only fat lady that have contest.
You're kidding.
Yes, in Thailand.
And that have to be just Thailand.
Yeah,
I've never heard of a jumbo contest anywhere else.
only fat lady.
Really?
Yes.
That's
Thailand.
true?
We have.
Miss Elephant.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's a big jumbo. Jumbo contest.
That doesn't sound true.
Yeah.
Let me see. Protesters, this is about the Hong Kong situation again. Protesters flout mask ban in Hong Kong. Protesters flout
Flout. What's
banned in Hong Kong? What is to flout?
flout?
Flout. F-L-O-U-T.
Flout.
ฟลาวที่ได้ท
Flout.
ำฟลาว
So, there's a ban on masks in Hong Kong. In other words, according to the law in Hong Kong as enacted now, you cannot wear a mask. No, it's banned. But if you notice on TV or in the news, everybody in Hong Kong walking around with masks. They have flouted the law, to flout, to disregard the law. I could care less, give me that mask.
They don't mind.
More than don't mind, they just are disregarding it. They say, the police say, you cannot wear that mask. Oh, really? Flouting the law. In other words, you know what the law is. It's no secret. But who cares? I'm wearing the mask. So they flouted the law.
Flout. Flout the law.
And it says here, transport networks partially reopened. Transport networks partially reopened. What is a network?
Network.
Transport network.
It's a subway, SkyTrain, a connecting.
Right, exactly. It's a system
Yes.
of transportation.
Yes.
It happens to be in Hong Kong, the MTR, Mass Transit, something or other, Mass Transit, I forget the R.
เร็วเว้ย
Railway maybe, Mass Transit
Yes,
Railway.
railway.
And it may be something along these lines where you have a whole system underground of trains running here, there, and everywhere, all interconnected. You can get on here, get off here, get on, and get off here, and travel all the way up to here. It's a network, a series, a system of connecting things. You can have a network of, in your business where you have somebody working in Bangkok that you can work with, and then somebody working in Hong Kong, somebody working in San Francisco, New York, around the world, so that if you need help or something, on the phone right away, because I have a network that connects me all through. Network can have many different meanings. A system, the transportation network, the communications network, the network of all the different TV channels, what have you. A system of interconnecting activities. A network. Take one more. These are words that constantly come up.
Spec.
Pompeo denounces harassment from Dems. Well, Dems. Pompeo is the Secretary of State in America. He is, I'm trying to think what is, doesn't say what is, oh, Mike Pompeo, right, Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State in America. And he denounces harassment from the Democratic Party, or the Dems. The Dems. Cut short because of the newspaper, really. Pompeo denounces harassment. What does it mean to denounce? Denounce.
We know announce. We know pronounce.
Well,
Now we don't know.
denounce is,
Announce.
denounce can be announce,
Oh.
announce, denounce, pronounce.
Oh.
all kinds of nounces, but this is a denounce. Coming out in public and saying, this is absolutely a disgrace, whatever they're doing, to criticize severely in public. So the Secretary of State comes out and denounces the Democrats. He says, what they're doing is absolutely a disgrace. It is totally wrong. I am denouncing that at this time. I am publicly stating that they are wrong and incorrect. Denounce. Harassment. What is harassment? That could happen anywhere. Could happen right here in the class. I hope it doesn't, but harassment.
Harassment is something dangerous.
It could be, yeah. Harass. Please stop harassing me. Harass. Well, we talked about disturbing as interfering, but you can disturb in a very low-key way, like, oh, I'm sorry to disturb you, but could you lower the TV just a little bit? The sound is loud. Or I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's a visitor has come to see you. Sorry to disturb you. That's low-key. But to harass is a much more serious thing. Harass, H-A-R-A, harassment. Harassment. Denounces harassment from the Democrats. Harass is to bother a person severely, to almost interfere totally with their life. I could harass you by, if you were my, let's say, ex-girlfriend, phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, every morning, at 3 o'clock. You pick it up, nobody there. Next morning, 3 o'clock, again, nobody there. Or I could call pizza delivery. 5 pizza delivery companies at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and say, please deliver a pizza to Miss Smith at 123 North Street at 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, 5 pizza companies show up with pizzas to be delivered to you that you've never even ordered. And it happens every evening for 3 weeks at 6 o'clock. Harassment. Getting even in a way with somebody for what you think they did to you. So you harass them. Phone calls. Pizza delivery at 2 o'clock in the morning. Knock, knock, pizza. What? Who? What? What? Pizza? There are 1,000 ways to harass somebody. If you want to cause trouble, just sit back for a few minutes and think about a neat way to cause a problem for somebody. Pizza deliveries at 3 in the morning, phone calls at 4 in the morning, all kinds of little things to harass. Disturb to the point of making it really almost unlivable situation. Harass. It can be a matter to call the police about, really, at some point.
From the N.E.S.C.
Oh, it's a short. It's cut short, like they do in newspapers, because they don't have the space anymore, for the Democratic Party. Members of the Democratic Party. So Pompeo, the Secretary of State, is denouncing the harassment by the Democrats, the harassment of President Trump by the Democrats. And he is saying this has got to stop. It is wrong. It is illegal. It is impossible to continue. It has to stop. Denounce it. Criticize it publicly that it must stop. Harassment. And you can harass anybody. Start with phone calls. Start with delivery service that they don't want or ask for. 5 pizzas at 6 o'clock. All the standing there, waiting for the money. You never ordered one? Yeah. Who called? Well, a guy called and said, deliver this at 6 o'clock. Well, who called? Well, he didn't leave his name, but he gave this name and address. Mrs. Smith, it's you. Ooh, yikes. So that's harassment. And if you think about it, there can be many, many ways. And usually people that harass other people sit at night thinking of ways to do it. Yeah, that'll work. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll have something delivered. There's a lot of ways.
Do you like coffee or tea?
Yeah, okay.
Tea.
Coffee.
Okay. Put the sugar.
No.
Or black
No
coffee.
sugar. Little, if there's some milk or little cream.
ใช้กาแฟดำไม่มี
Uh-oh. Cream but no sugar.
แบล็คคอฟฟี่
สบายนะพาไปหาหมอเฮ้ยมึงใส่แว่นหน่อย
You have to go to Starbucks or?
สตาร์บัคอะไร
You have to go to Starbucks? No. Anyway, harassment can be a nasty thing, obviously. And it's, something nobody wants to be involved with. Disturbing, well, that happens all the time. Little disturbances, little things that interfere for moments what you're doing. Or, as I say, somebody can be very polite and say, I don't want to disturb you, sir, but a guest has come and asked to see you. Oh, okay, send them in, it's fine. You're really not, somebody's being extremely polite by saying, I'm sorry, I don't want to disturb you. But there's this guy just came. Okay. We'll move on then. Harassment, denounce, spat, dodger, dodge, flout. Flouting the law, disregarding it, totally. Again, in the newspapers, on the computer, there's many different ways that words you can look up on the computer or in the newspaper, whatever, in books, and find many different words. The newspaper is interesting because they use a lot of words that you don't normally see hear in conversation a lot, but the words are there. And it's something to look up and memorize and be familiar with. Now we're going to talk about a word and a series of words all surrounding memory. There's a lot of ways to use words involving memory. Many, 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 many ways. So we'll take a look at a few of them here. Memory.
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 Remember.
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 Recall.
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 Remind.
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 Memorize.
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 What is memorize?
memorize
Memory.
Memorize. What would it be to memorize something? To memorize would be to take something. A good example would be a poem. A poem. A poem. For example, the famous poem of Edgar Allan Poe. One of the most famous poems in the world.
Home.
What do you call it?
Home.
Lowen.
I remember the home.
Lowen.
The Raven.
Raven.
The Raven.
Raven.
The Raven. Raven. And if I said to you, please memorize the poem and come into class tomorrow morning and recite, R-E-C-I-T-E, recite the poem that I asked you to memorize. So the next morning, you would come into class. I would say, please, the Raven. You would stand up. Once upon a midnight today, as I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, suddenly there came a tapping, a tap, tap, tapping at my chamber door. Oh, how well I do remember, it was in the bleak December, when each dying ember left its ghost upon the floor.
Teacher.
Thank you.
No black coffee.
The Raven has
Three in
arrived.
one.
Oh, thank you.
3 in 1. Pure coffee, no help.
Okay.
Sukhasik poem, we call remind.
Home. You said home.
What that would be to memorize the poem would be to completely have it in your mind, that you're not reading it from a piece of paper. You are giving it right from your mind into the people that you're talking to. So you've memorized the Raven's poem, put it to memory. No books, no paper, just memorized it, and then go in and once upon a midnight day, as I pondered weak and weary. Very famous poem by E.A. Poe. But that is memorized, to put something totally to the point where you don't have to read a book or a paper or anything, you just speak it out. He memorized his speech and gave it for 30 minutes. Yes, thank you for the coffee. Memory.
Memory. Memory is now. It's now for memorize.
Right. It's the ability within your own mind to memorize, to recall something from the past that you have kept in your mind. You have a very good